Hello, everyone. President Biden will deliver remarks at the White House today focused on lowering health care costs and strengthening Medicare and Social Security.
The president was initially scheduled to speak in Florida, but of course his trip has been canceled due to Hurricane Ian. President Biden will discuss falling premiums aimed at decreasing health care costs for millions of Americans. He's also expected to call out congressional Republicans for seeking to eliminate Medicare and repealing the recently passed Inflation Reduction Act.
Joining us now is Adam Cancryn. He is a White House reporter covering health and the economy for Politico. Hey there, Adam. What more can you tell us about the falling premiums that the president is expected to highlight today?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. So this is a couple-pronged announcement and remarks here today in the Rose Garden. One, President Biden will be announcing a decrease in Medicare Part B premiums for seniors. These are for services like physician visits and outpatient hospital visits. And it's about a $60 per month, a little bit more than $60 per month per beneficiary reduction from last year. That's in part because Medicare was able to limit its spending a little bit better than they anticipated last year. So that's going to be kind of the main policy announcement, the main thrust here. Obviously, there is a political component that goes hand in hand, talking about the efforts that Democrats are making to make healthcare costs overall a little bit easier to bear.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that a little bit more. Just how is the president, or how do you expect that the president is going to, drive that point that Republicans are actually jeopardizing Americans' access to health care that, of course, is essential?
Yeah, well, the president has a bit of an advantage here in that he can just use Republicans' words against them, quote for quote. One Republican that I would expect him to go after, perhaps by name, is Florida Senator Rick Scott, who put out a GOP platform that he wanted his party to adopt earlier this year. One of the things that he said they should consider is cutting Medicare or some kind of revamp of the Medicare program in addition to Social Security. Obviously, those are things that seniors who also, vote are extremely concerned about, extremely interested in. And so I would expect the president to really call attention to this contrast of, his administration lowering premiums at the same time that some Republicans and Republican candidates are suggesting, maybe we think about revamping or privatizing or cutting funding for Medicare.
Yeah, we heard other Republican leaders really start to pump the brakes on those comments right away because they could potentially be damaging, especially as we're heading into the midterm election just 6 weeks away. How significant is health care and Social Security with U.S. voters now? In other years, we know that it has been of great importance. It seems like this go around, maybe the economy, reproductive rights, like those seem to be more of what we're hearing about. But we know that those issues are important, Social Security and health care to seniors, and they're the ones more often than not that show up to vote. What can you tell us, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a bit more of a mixed environment, right? In past years, a lot of the conversation was about the Affordable Care Act. Do you keep it? Do you repeal it? How do you do that? That issue is now largely settled, basically because voters were so enthusiastic about protecting Obamacare that Republicans realized it's bad politics and they didn't have a good alternative plan. So without that kind of being the center of the universe this time, there are other issues at play. But the thing that's really interesting is that, almost no matter what you ask about or when you ask about it, voters in poll after poll rank healthcare and healthcare affordability in their top 2 or top 3 issues. And so even if there's not a major legislative battle going on or major political battle going on, it's still in the back of voters' minds. And so anything, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, that you can do to kind of get at that issue is always a positive, especially now 6 weeks before a midterm.
That's right. I mean, and Democrats will be able to tout just capping certain drugs like insulin. I mean, there's a lot around that conversation that seems in favor of the president's message. Let's see what he says later. Adam Cancryn, thank you so much for joining us.